العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدم. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So alhamdulillah, continuing on. So we've reached now, walillah alhamd, we've reached the chapter, or we've finished the Dars al-Rabi' Ashara, which is Nawaqid al-Wudu. So we move on inshallah ta'ala now, and we want to just mention some points on Tahara. So number one, at-tayammum. How is a person to do tayammum? Okay, sifatu tayammum is that number one, the person intends the tayammum. Okay, you intend the tayammum. Obviously niyyah is always included in every action. Then you say the basmala. Then you strike the ground with one strike. Your palms. One strike like that. Then you wipe it, okay, on your face. Okay, so you wipe the earth on your face. So the bits of earth that's on your hand, you wipe it on your face. And then you wipe the back of your palms right and left. Okay? The back of your palms, your forearm basically, right and left. So again, one strike on the ground. So you find earth and soil. You strike it once with two hands. And then you wipe your face with it. And then you wipe the back of your palms. Now, some people tend to spread their fingers apart when wiping, and that's incorrect. And also spreading their fingers apart when they're striking the ground, and that's also incorrect. Now moving on to the next topic of Tahara, Sifatul Ghusl al-Wajib. How does a person do the ghusl which is wajib? But before that, what are the things that make the ghusl wajib? Number one, al-janaba. طيب. And that is with sexual contact of the private. The contact of the privates. If the two privates, the male and female, if they merely just touch, then that is mujibin lil ghusl. That is a means of ghusl for the person. Some of the scholars, they say بإنزال المني, by the coming out of the semen, by ejaculation in of itself. They say that it causes a person to be on major defilement. And some of the ulama have disputed that. But regardless, the person should be upon hadar. If anything, they should take mas'alat al-ahwadi, which is, they should take the approach which is safest. Okay? Other than that, then it's biltiqa il-khitanaini. That, and the khitanain is kinayatun anil jima'. What they mean by khitan is basically the jima' that happens, the intercourse. Second, khuruju dam al-hayd wal nifas. When the blood of menstruation and postpartum bleeding comes out, then that is a means of al-ghusl, al-wajib. Number three, those things that obligate ghusl, mawtu ghayri shaheed, the death of other than a shaheed, meaning washing the dead body. Because the shaheed, you don't wash. the shaheed, the person who dies as a martyr in the battleground, you bury them how you found them. Number 4, Islam al-Kafir, the Islam of the disbeliever. So when the disbeliever takes the Shahada, reverts to Islam, then that is a means of them taking a ghusl. Now we'll move on to Sifatul Ghusl. How is this ghusl done? So there's 2 ways. There's the way that is the ghusl which is the correct, the most correct or the most preferable way, and then there's a way which is also permissible. So firstly we mentioned a person should intend and yanwi al-ghusl. Second, ورفع الجنابة. Okay, يعني ينوي الغسل لرفع الجنابة. The person intends ghusl of removing this janaba. Then they say Bismillah. Okay. After they done that, غسل الفرجين, that they wash. Okay, this is the complete way. This is the complete way. So they call it ghusl al-wajib. Some of them they call it as-sunnatu fil ghusl fil ightisal. So this is the complete way, I'm telling you first. So ghusl al-farjaini, first thing they do is obviously they intend, say Bismillah, and they wash the 2 privates. Then they wash their hands. Step 2. Then they do the wudu normal, like the wudu of salah, the full wudu. Then they wash the hair. So they wash the head and they wash the hair. So they done the full wudu, then they go ahead to scrub their head and wash. ثم يغسل شقه الأيمن ثم الأيسر. Then they wash their body starting from the right, up and down, all the way, all of the right, and then all of the left. And when they've done that, then they can do the whole body as well, everywhere, because the water has to touch every single place. So again, you start off by washing the private, then washing the hands, then wudu, then washing the head, yani the hair. Then starting from the right, washing the right part of your body. So arms, shoulders, sides, hips, legs, thighs, all of that on the right, and then the same on the left. And then making the water after that completely cover your whole body. Okay, then they end by washing the feet. So that's the sifatun kamilatun. That's the complete ghusl. Then there's ghusl which is permissible. Obviously, they do intention. Yanwi al-ghusl. Then they say Bismillah. And then they wash the whole of their body. All of their body, everything, their hair, whether it's khafifa or thaqila, khafifa or kathifa, whether it's thick hair or small hair, they wash it. Then they do madmada wa istinshaq. And madmada wa istinshaq is that in the wudu when you wash the mouth and nose. So you scoop water with the mouth and then blow with your nose. Like what you normally do with wudu. So again, this one you just wash the whole body and you do madmada wa istinshaq. And that's why the scholars, they say that would suffice you. In other words, having a shower. You could just basically have a shower with madmada and istinshaq at the end. Okay, some say you don't have to do madmada and istinshaq, but that's inshallah the correct opinion. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Now moving on to the next topic of Tahara. So we took 2 now so far. What's the first, Mahdi? Tayammum. And then ghusl, how to do ghusl. Ghusl is 2 types. How many types, sisters?
2.
What are they? You can look at your note. The whole point of this is to repeat. Repetition teaches a donkey. Sah. So what are the two types?
You do the full body first,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go on to the washing the full body and scooping up with your mouth.
Good. So that's the way that's allowed. So that's the lighter version of the ghusl. What's the other one? It's the more lengthier one, right?
Yeah.
So Mahdi, what's the steps? No. So you have to have the niyyah always. So why do we say that? Because if a person goes in to have a normal shower and a normal wash, just a bath, does that suffice? No. So you have to differentiate. Why? Because this action, especially as it's the way that's the lighter version, that lighter version sounds like a shower. Except with the madmada and istinshaq at the end. تفضل. So go ahead. Niyyah.
Washing the two private parts.
Yeah, wash the two private parts. Next step. Then you have to wash those hands.
Then perform normal wudu.
Full wudu.
Wash the hair and head, or hair/hair.
Wash the hair, yeah.
Wash the right side of the body, then left, or some opinion washing the whole body afterwards.
No. Good.
Washing the feet as well.
No. And then washing the feet. Jazakallah khair. And what are the things, sisters, that make a person in a state of janaba? We mentioned 4.
Contact with the private when...
Naam. So that means if it's intercourse or not, whether it's intercourse, whether the male private enters or not, the point of it is if it touches, that's sufficient. The second one?
Menstruation or postpartum bleeding.
So, third?
Washing the dead body.
Naam. Fourth?
When disbelievers become...
Muslim. Naam. Okay, so when a revert takes his shahada. Now, shurutul mash al-khuffayn. That's the next subject for tahara. What are the conditions of wiping the khuffayn? There are 5. Number 1, أن يكون لابسا لهما على طهارة. That the person is wearing those socks based on a previous tahara. Okay, meaning they've already done the wudu that included the feet, that included washing the feet. So they stayed upon that wudu. Now they want to wear socks. They wear the socks. These socks are eligible for wiping. Why? Because the person was in a state of purity. So they're worn in a state of purity, meaning a previously washed feet, with previously washed feet. Second, that this socks is satiratan li ghalib al-abdu, that it is covering the majority of the foot. Some of the scholars, they say the ankle, up until the ankle. Okay, that's why what socks are not counted here? Those summertime socks, right? Those, what do they call them? Ankle ones, the one that's below the ankle, the ones that literally are up on the heel. What's left open? A large part, right? So those ones don't count. Because they're almost like sandals. They literally just stop at the middle of the heel. So you've got the heel and everything below the ankle, and even the top, a part of the top of the feet. Now, and also similar to this is what? Na'alaini. Sandals. Because some sandals, or shoes, because the Prophet ﷺ used to wipe over their shoes and sandals. They used to wipe over the shoes, but they have to be covering the majority of the feet. And especially according to those scholars who say, the ankle. So you can wipe over them. They have to be covering, right? أن يكون الخفتان أو الجوارب طاهرة. And also similar to this is the socks as well, yeah? And the khuf, what is the khuf? The leather socks. Khuf is leather socks. Jawarib is the cotton or, other material type of socks. So the third condition is they have to be pure. They have to be طاهرة. جوربان طاهرتان. Second, fourth, أن يكون مسحهما في الحدث الأصغر لا في الجنابة أو ما يجوب الغسل. That you wiping over them is based on a حدث الأصغر, not something that needs a janaba. الحدث الأكبر is janaba. It is like anything that comes from the two privates. Wind, urine, so on and so forth. And pre-semen. Okay, not the semen, the pre-semen. The medhi. Lastly, أن يكون المسح في الوقت المحدد شرعا. That the wiping that you're doing should be in the time frame specified. And that is 2. Number 1, يوم وليلة للمستوطن. It is a day and a night for the one who's resident, i.e. 24 hours. And ثلاثة أيام بليالها للمسافر. 3 days for the traveler, i.e. 72 hours. And when does it start, brothers and sisters? When does it start? نعم. بعد المسح الأول. The time starts ticking not when you wear the socks. So, Abdullah wore the socks at Dhuhr. He wiped Isha. And then he wears those socks, he sleeps at night with it. And then he meets the next Dhuhr. Does he have to take them off? Sisters, what do you say? No. Because why? He has to take them off the next Isha. This is if Abdullah is a resident. And if Abdullah is not a resident, then he takes it off the third Isha. Hakada, simple, alhamdulillah. Okay? Meaning the person is a traveler. What about if Abdullah traveled to Birmingham, about 2.5 hours or 2 hours, on really trafficy time, 3. And then he came back. How long was he away from the house? 3 there and 3 back, right? 6 hours, right? And just before he left, he wiped. So he initiated the khuffayn time. When he went to Birmingham, what is he now? Officially a traveler, sah? Sisters, do you agree? He's officially a traveler. What has ticked for him now? The 3 days, right? 3 days time started ticking. But he came back 3 hours later to London. When does his wiping cut off? Think about this question. When does his wiping stop? Do the sisters know? So do you understand the question though? Does everyone understand the question? Mahdi, do you understand the question? Sisters, do you understand the question? Shall I repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we have just established that there's 3 hours for the person who's traveling. Sorry, 3 hours. I meant 3 days for the person who's traveling. 72 hours, yeah? 3 days for the person who's traveling. 24 hours for the person who's not traveling. And then we gave a scenario of Abdullah traveling to Birmingham. He initiated his wiping just before his journey. And then he went to Birmingham. He landed in Birmingham. What is he? A traveler, right? Then he came back an hour or so later with another 3 hours journey. So 3 hours there, 1 hour in Birmingham, 3 hours back. How many hours? 7. Now he's in London. He's in London right now. What is the time on what's left on his wiping? He came back to London. Now he's in London, but remember he went to travel. And when he's traveling, he'll stay there for an hour. He initiated, while he's in Birmingham, he initiated his travel. He's a traveler, right? He's officially a traveler, right? There's no dispute with that, right? That's not the trick question. He came back. So when is his wiping off? Okay, Mahdi says 24 hours. Does anyone dispute that? Mahdi, why do you say 24 hours though?
I forgot the qaida, but choosing the less fulfillment or choosing that which is shorter in terms of time frame of the rules.
Sisters, do you agree?
I think it should still be the 72 hours because he still travelled there.
He still travelled there, okay. So that's another opinion from the sisters. Okay, so there's khilaf bain al-alim wa alima. طيب, the answer is that we look at the hal. In Islam, you never consider what has preceded. You always look at the hal. What is the person? Where is he now? He's in London. He's back. Can you shorten the prayers? No. Likewise, he can't. So meaning, his 24-hour ticked when his time ticked when he left, because he wiped. And then when he got to Birmingham, he was he was eligible for the 3 hours. Now he came back, he's gone back to the 24 hours, but now 6 has passed. 6 hours or so, or 7 hours has passed now. So he's got how many remaining? Do the maths. Yeah, because now basically the answer is that no, he's not a musafir anymore. We look at the hal. So how many hours is left? He's already took 6, basically just take 6 out of 24. Looking at me like that. Just looking at me like that for. Ain't it 18? 18 hours, yeah? He's got 18 hours. The time that's left is 18 hours. Even though he went to Birmingham and back, it's 18 hours. Why? Because he's no longer considered as a musafir. We don't take the rule that he's left that now. He's left that now. Right? He's left that now. Similar, who can give me a similar example to this? Huh? Salatul Musafir, exactly, good. Who can give me another example of that? There's a Muslim that's coming up. There's a season that's coming up. Who knows the season that's coming up? Hajj, right? So if the person now goes to Ihram, right? They go to Ihram, right? They break whatever they need to break, and perhaps they may have to go back and reinitiate. Maybe they haven't come with the condition of doing the labbaik on the miqat. The intention with the miqat. Maybe they missed the miqat, right? Or maybe they did, they got there, but say for example, somehow they lost their hajj, or they finished their hajj. Now they're out of the hajj position. So everything goes back to normal. And we don't look at the fact that because they're in Mecca, they're still doing tawaf. We don't consider the fact that they're still doing tawaf. We look at what hal they're in now. The fact that the situation they're in now is they're no longer in hajj. They're no longer in the ihram. So that individual, Abdullah, was no longer a traveler. So we go back to default. Now, how does a person wipe? The sifa, or the way the person wipes, يمر يده من أطراف الأصابع الرجل إلى ساقه فقط. The person is to wipe at the ends of his feet. So he gets the water, and by the way, it's not that you get a lot of water, is you literally get some water that's enough that if you put your fingers down, it drops. Yani it's dropping. There's small drops coming from your fingers. That's how much water you need. Just a little bit that's left on your hand. You wipe it by starting from the tip of the toes, and you go from the toes up, all the way up until the saq. The beginning, basically where the ankle is, or the beginning of the shin, on the top of the foot. أعلى الخف. يعني على الخف. الحمد لله. أهديكم ونصلح بالكم. نعم. And how is he going to do it? He's going to do it with both hands, one go. So you wet both hands one go, you touch them on both feet at one time, on the tip of the toes, on the top of the foot, wipe it, go all the way along up until just above the ankles, on the top, so you're touching your shin, just the beginning of your shin. Okay, so your shin, which is the front part of your leg, obviously, lined with your ankle. I'm describing it in detail because obviously the scissors can't see me, but maybe they can go back to the recording. Okay, so your shin, wipe, so the foot is like that, you wipe it like this, so the ankle's here, you just go over the ankle a little bit, and obviously the shin starts in line with the shin now. What are the aggregators of wiping the socks? How many are they? Give me a number. Think, don't give me an answer in any other form. Think about it. How many things could probably nullify wiping over the socks? And give me a number. How many do you say? You say? 2. So there's 2. What about you, sisters? How many things do you think? 6. MashaAllah. I definitely want to hear that. Go ahead. What's the first?
Anything that comes out of the 2 passages.
Anything that comes out of 2 passages. Okay. What's the second?
Any impurity that comes out of one's body.
Any impurity? No, I think sister, you're saying. I'm talking about wiping. I think you're saying the nullifiers of wudu. We're talking about the nullifiers of masah, the nullifiers of wiping over the sock. I let you carry on for the first one because I thought, okay, we'll give that. Let's see what the rest are. But it seems now that you're going to you're going to nullifiers of wudu. So how many do you say, sisters? How much do you think? Brother said 2. Probably 3, mashallah. Can you tell me? The first one?
Is it like the socks aren't clean?
Good. So, that's 1. So anything major that falls on the socks, that is from, consider the impurities. Like a number 1, like a number 2, like khinzir, the wala' al-kalb, the saliva of the dog. Oh, no, all those other impurities. Okay? So that's number 1, sister. What else?
They're not, they're like ankle socks.
They're not ankle, so they cover all of the body. Good. So how many did you say, sister? Did you say 3?
Yeah.
What's the third one?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Remember when we said what are the shurut of wiping over the socks?
Yeah.
Basically just do opposite to that. So there's 5. You just do opposite to that. What are the shurut of wiping over the socks? Number 1, that he should wear it upon tahara. Of what? Yani, apart from that one. Because he's already wearing it. So there's 4. So the first one is that he should cover most of the body. So if it slips off him, okay? If his socks somehow slip off him and and then he's like, whoa, and he tries to put it back. Oh, my socks. And he tries to pull it back. They basically have come off his feet. They're like towards the end and he slips, he puts it back on. It don't count now. It's been removed. How do we know that? Where's the evidence? The Prophet ﷺ, when he was doing wudu, the particular sahabi, was holding the water bucket for him. And then, when he got to the feet, the sahabi tried to take the khuf off him. He said, leave it. I wore them upon Tahara. Meaning he wants to continue. So the point is, you're not allowed to take it off. He told him to leave it. Why? Because it has to stay on. So if it comes off, Okay. Number two, as the sister said, upon any, it has to be clean, and that's the condition. Remember. So any major any impurity that goes on it, filth. Okay, and we say impurity according to the Sharia, not filth according to like maybe you played football, then even though they will stink and it won't be good, and you should really prefer to pray with Allah Azza wa Jalla without smelly feet. But nonetheless, it's not technically something that nullifies it, right? We're talking about the impurities that are the Islamic impurities, such as those, like, the saliva of the dog or whatever, urine or whatever. And so the person, they have to take it off. Third, the timing. If the timing goes out, it nullifies it. Naam. If the person finishes the duration, khalas, you're not allowed to wipe over them. 3/3 for the traveler, and over 24 for the resident. Okay, and what's the fourth? That they don't fall into major impurities. Like, did the sister mention that? Did you mention that? Hayd wal nafas? Naam. So if the person is wearing those socks, it doesn't matter if they're a traveler. They could be on their last day that's ticking on the sock, or the shoes, or the khuf, whatever they wore, and the leather sock. And then they had jima' with their spouse. Khalas, they have to do ghusl. Ma yujib al-ghusl. Okay, so those are the things that are one of the points that I mentioned now. What about if the person, here's another mas'ala. What about if the person is wearing no socks and they've wiped over it, so they've initiated, so they wore it in dhuhr, okay? They somehow broke their wudu, and they're still wearing the socks, right? They haven't taken it off. And they already had it upon Tahara from dhuhr. Asr came, he needs to do wudu again, right? Does wudu, wipes over them, right? Then just before Maghrib, he says, these socks are getting a bit too hot. I need to give air to my feet. I need to let my feet breathe. It's true, especially in summertime. So you take them off. Does that nullify the person's wudu? Brother says no. What do you say, sisters? It does. Why would you say that? He didn't. So when he done wudu though, he did wash his feet. Yeah, so now Maghrib came, he hasn't broke his wudu. All he did was just take his socks off. So the ulama have differed on this one. Some of them, they say, actually, he has to do wudu again. Do you know what they compare it to? They compare it to tayammum. They do qiyas of tayammum. They say if a person was do tayammum, and then water arrived, they have to use the water now. So they say, likewise, the person wiped over the khuf, he took it off, it's no longer there, just like there's no longer a lack of water. Just like there's no longer a lack of water, you're not allowed to use tayammum anymore. Likewise, there's a lack of khuf. Yeah? But the correct view is that no, لعدم الدليل الذي يثبت. Okay? And that this would have been narrated to us, because this is a nullifier, it's a big issue. Wallahu ta'ala alam. And this is something that you can find in the fatwa of the scholars. What about thin type of socks? Thin type of socks, see-through. And one that has holes in it. The one with holes is permissible. Huh? That's why Sahaba wa Masakin, right? That's the evidence that always gets used. Sahaba wa Masakin, huh? MashaAllah. قول الشيخ الإسلام. طيب. The correct view is that it depends. if the holes are so large and big that it takes it out of the fact that it doesn't even look like a sock anymore. Or it's just overwhelmingly ripped apart. It's just, subhanAllah. Then, of course, not. And also, same for the thinning of the socks. From the ulama who are qa'ilina biha, they say if it's so thin you can literally see through and see the actual skin, then no. As far as it's kind of thin, you can just about make out your foot, then no. But if it's really, really thin that you can see, then it takes it out of the equation. وَالْعِلْمُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ. Okay? Now we're going to mention, inshallah, some adab qada' al-haja, some adab, some etiquettes of going into the toilet. We got yustahab, those things that are preferable, that are recommended. يقدم رجل اليسرى ويقول بسم الله اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الخبث والخبائث. Person goes in with his left foot and says, or before he enters, he says, or while he's entering, he says, and actually before he enters, that's the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the name of Allah, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubathi wal-khaba'ith, which is the male and female, al-khaba'ith, khubth and khaba'ith. Some of the ulama, they said it's the male and female jinn. وإذا خرج منه قدم رجله اليمنى وقال غفرانك. And also it's recommended that when he leaves, he puts his right foot out and he says غفرانك, which means, oh Allah, pardon me. And here the ulama mentions something beneficial. They say, look, you always have to be on a good way when it comes to your dhikr of Allah, to the extent that when you go to the toilet, before you enter such a place, you say the dhikr of Allah. In the toilet, you shouldn't take too long. It's unfortunately the case now. You know, everyone, brothers and sisters alike, young and old, everybody goes into the toilet with their devices. SubhanAllah, some of them carry out office work in there. Sending emails, sending and receiving emails. Yeah, Shaykh, Anta, you're in the toilet. Aslan, it's not even a place that's really the most satisfying in terms of whatever. You know? Kaif, yani. SubhanAllah. And it's the case with this, every household is like this, to the extent that sometimes you know which family members in the toilet just by how long they took. SubhanAllah. You're famous for that in the house. It's a place where the shayateen are, you don't stay long there. And you can't do the dhikr of Allah in there. That's why when you come out, you say ghufranaka. So you resume back the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's preferable to resume the dhikr of Allah with wudu. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as is come in a hadith, that which you can find in Muharrar, authenticated, al-Muharrar fil hadith, authenticated, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was doing wudu and someone came and said salam alaikum to him and he didn't reply. When he came, he said wa alaikum as-salam. He said, I didn't want to mention Allah ala ghayri taharatin. Oh, kama qala. I didn't answer because I didn't want to mention Allah's name without wudu. Okay, not that it's wajib, it's just out of respect. ويجب عليه أن يستتر بحائط أو غيره ويبعد إن كان في القضاء. Okay, the person should go far. That's why the toilet, you know, there's another word for the toilet in the Arabic language. You know what it's called? Al-khala. What does that mean? Khala, he's gone far with it. It's like they've gone and hidden and gone far. No, khala. That one's dakhala yadkhulu. Khala, they've gone far. Yakhlu bihi, hidden with it, in secret. So, why is it called that? Because obviously in our day and age, toilets are fixed in one place, right? But back in the day, they used to find a place to do their qada' al-haja, their time of need, to fulfill the time of need. So when the time of need came, they would look for somewhere far. So from the sunnah, if you're ever obviously in our case, it would be maybe camping, or you're out somewhere in the forest, or you're maybe somewhere out in the open, right? And you need to, fulfill your, the time of need. then you have to go fight. You can't do it like, unfortunately, some people, subhanAllah, even if you're going to do it somewhere in the road, you don't do it like right there on the main road. SubhanAllah. Some people just, like especially men, just right on the main road, everyone can see him on a, just the only thing that's covering him and everyone is a phone box. Or maybe in the phone box, phone booth. They do it in a phone booth. They do it on the communications box. Probably cause trouble on people's Wi-Fi for that. But you don't do it. You have to hide with it. Go somewhere far. Okay? If you can find a park, go in the depths of the bushes or somewhere, hide. You have to be discreet with it. It's called khala for a reason. So that's from the sunnah that you go. And that yastatiru biha'itin, that a person should cover themselves with something. So you're either covered by walls or whatever, or tree, whatever you've done it, decided to do it in the open, or you actually use something to cover yourself. Such as maybe a sheet. Okay, so obviously our clothing nowadays doesn't give us the right, but back on those days, and a lot of people who may carry the shimar or something like that, they can kind of cover themselves with it. Now, and it's not permissible for the person. So these are the impermissibilities of fulfilling one's need. Number one, it's not allowed to do it on the pathways where people are walking. The amount of times we have to step over the puddles that they've created, especially the men. Nor while one is standing. Nor should a person do it تحت الأشجار المثمرة, not under trees that are being harvested, because that ruins the root. Or any place يؤذي الناس, that harms the people, such as maybe a person, it's a footpath, it's something that's used in a space of work, or somewhere that's actually being designated. Thirdly, no. Huh? Yeah, animal holes as well. Jazakallah khair, it's a good one. Now the animal lives there. The point is, the person shouldn't be a nuisance with what they're doing. They have to just quietly and pleasantly and secretly fulfill their need. Third, Allah yustaqbal al-qibla. Okay? So he has to what? You're not allowed to do istiqbal and istidbar. You're not allowed to do istiqbal. وَلَا يَسْتَقْبِلُ وَلَا يَسْتَدْبِرُ. He doesn't face the qibla, nor does he show his back to the qibla when he's doing the time of need in the open. Because there's a difference of opinion whether in the building. But you're allowed to do it in the building, because why? You're blocked from walls, as is the situation of Abdullah ibn Umar. And we know the hadith. And also on a roof, as it's done. On a roof. That's okay. We're talking about when it's open field. You shouldn't face the qibla. Nor should you face your back. وَلَكِنْ شَرِّقُوا أَوْ غَرِّبُوا, as the hadith says. Rather give it to the east or west. You have to face the east or west. So alhamdulillah, nowadays we have those compasses on our phone. It's not only people only think the compasses are beneficial for the qibla. No, it's also beneficial for when you need to go. When you need to go, you know where to face. Look for east and west. Okay? Of what? East and west of where? East and west, because it depends where you are. You could be in the west facing east, or you could be facing east, depending. The point is, it shouldn't be on your front or back. It should be on the left or right. You should be aside the qibla. Okay, this is when you're what? In a building or out of building? Outside of a building. Fifth, or on the fourth or fifth? Fifth, the fifth thing that person doesn't do, or the fourth thing the person doesn't do. يَمَسَّ ذَكْرُهُ بِيَمِينِهِ, he shouldn't touch with his right hand. Sixth, he shouldn't mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seventh, that you should use istinja wa istijmar. Istijma' bil ma' wa istinjar. and the shurut of istijmar, the conditions of using stones, etc., then it should be thalatha masahatin, 3 wipes or more. Okay? And also that actual stone or whatever should be clean in of itself. So it shouldn't be istijmar bi shay'in najisin, with something that's impure. Okay? Or nothing that's meant to be preserved, such as food, for example. Person can't use فَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, some food items like a bread or something. وَلَا بِعَظْمٍ أَوْ وَرْثٍ, nor bones or animal excrement. As exception from this, and the thing that's permissible is يَجُوزُ الْبَوْلِ قَائِمًا, it is permissible to go to the toilet standing, with the condition that the person is free or safe from the rebounds of his urine coming, rashash al-bawl, okay, the drops of the bowl coming and bouncing back off him, and that they should be safe from their private not being exposed, because when you're standing you're more likely to be exposed. Okay, so this is permissible as is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. أتى صلى الله عليه وسلم سباطة قوم فبال قائما. But it is preferable to sit. It is preferable to sit, and it's better for your body as well, as we've come to learn later. Although we don't always need a scientific reason, it's sufficient that it's from the sunnah to sit, and that we've been told to sit. طيب, inshallah, we'll end it there. There's some questions on Tahara that I'm going to give, inshallah ta'ala, over the week. It's about 2 pages long. There's about 5 questions. No, 6 questions and a table. And then, inshallah ta'ala, we will move to our next chapter, which is a Dars al-Khamis Ashar, Dars al-Khamis Ashar, which is the 15th chapter, and we're going to finish on the 18th with this book. This book's finished on 8, so we have 3 chapters left. 15, 16, sorry, we have 3 chapters after the next chapter. So basically we've got 4 chapters left right now. Okay? We've got 4 chapters left. Barakallahu feekum. Any questions? And then the next chapter is going to be Akhlaq al-Mashru'iyya li kulli Muslim. So the Shaykh really thought about this book. Important lessons for every Muslim. The next chapter he placed is good manners. Now that you've learned the qisar al-suwar of the tafsir, that's what we started with, right? So you can pray properly. Then we learn tawheed, which is the most important thing. And then we learn aspects of shirk, which is the important thing you should stay away from. And then we learn about the arkan al-Islam. Then we learn about Tahara, etc. Okay, shurutu salah, arkanu salah, wajibatuha. Okay, shurutu al-wudu, sunan al-wudu, nawaqid al-wudu. Then we learn some aspects of Tahara. Now he's going to move on to, okay, now that you've worshipped Allah, you're almost like a fully compatible Muslim now, right? Fully able Muslim now, you have to have akhlaq. Okay, so akhlaq for every Muslim, then adab, some etiquettes, Islamic etiquettes. Then we move to warning against shirk and disobedience. And then we move on to how to perform the funeral prayer and how to wash the body and bury. He ended it with something that we're all going to be ended with. Allahu Akbar. May Allah give us a good ending. I did say I was going to mention some points about, when a person's praying, where does the person stand and stuff like that. So I'll just quickly mention it because I forgot to mention it. When the person is alone, obviously they are standing with nobody, right? When a person is praying with one individual, they stand side by side. Preferably he's on the left and the other one's on the right. But when he's with a group of people, they have to stay, meaning two or more. So the person comes, he taps the person slightly, indicating that he should come back. The person goes back. Some people think that when two people are praying, one person should stay back slightly. Okay? But that's not incorrect. They should be side by side. And whoever says that should bring the evidence. Because they're thinking, because it's the imam, he's got a right to be a little bit in front. We don't use our brains. Side by side is what's known. Otherwise we leave it. Otherwise unless you have evidence. And then if it's two or more, they are behind him. And if it's crowded and there's no space, you are allowed to pray with the imam. You are allowed to pray with the imam if there's a hajjah on both sides. On both sides. If it's masjid is completely packed, and then you'll be like, you know what, there's only two more people waiting outside. And there's no space for him, they can both pray beside the imam. The imam's in the middle, and they're both on the side. Obviously, if there's only one, preferably on the right. So that's just some extra points on where you stand when you're praying. And obviously, if a person is leading his household, the women are behind. So the wife, if he's just him and his wife, she's behind him, and he's in front. نعم تفضل. That's not allowed. It's not allowed for the person when he comes into the masjid and he sees there's a saf available, that he leaves that, number one. Secondly, some of the ulama, they mention, even if there's no space, he shouldn't create a new one. Sah? They mention that. Even if there's no, he shouldn't pray alone. But because the ulama, they say, because there's no ability, what can he do? Is he going to wait for the salah until he's going to miss the salah until someone comes and can join him with a new line? Do you guys understand? So there's two issues here. When you come into the salah, some people, they see the front row is still available. There's still maybe two more spaces. But he just goes and creates a row. No, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, أَتِمُّ صَفَّ الْأَوَّلَ فَالْأَوَّلِ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, finish and complete the first row, then the next, like that. You have to complete all rows. So if that space is there, you can squeeze in. Don't create a new one. But the second situation, is that there's no space, so it's complete. That row is complete. Do you start to designate a new row? Some ulama say, no, he's still not allowed to pray alone. He has to wait for someone. But the ulama say, لا واجب مع العجز. There's no wajib in inability. And they say this because of a hadith that's authentic. That the hadith is authentic that says he shouldn't start a new row by himself. So if he's standing there, right, and he's the only one, and he waits, and it's like, there's no one coming, he's about to go on ruku', he's about to miss the whole salah, maybe even miss the whole salah, is he going to wait to miss the whole salah? They say because there's no ability, he just prays, Bismillah. He starts, and he prays. No. So this, well, 1 second. So this, you know what this shows a lot of ignorance on? It shows a lot of ignorance on when people pray in the fields. When people go and they play football or something, and it's time for prayer, Allahumma barik, mashallah, they're praying, which is good, right? But they start new rows. Maybe there's like 5, 6, or even 10 guys in the first row, and then they start another row because they just think, oh, it's getting a bit long. Then it's like, no, you have to stay with the row, however long the place is. You have to complete the row. So right now, if we start praying here, lengthwise, we have to pray from here up into the podium, all the way up until the wall, the next wall. Hakada, and that will be the first row. Then you start a second row. Okay, and you find this, mashallah, practiced in the big masajid in Arab countries. They're very large and big. The row continues all the way. You think, subhanallah, sometimes you think, subhanallah, there's only a few people praying here. No, not really. It's one long row. There's actually probably this equivalent of our fajr. Which is still small, which is still not a good thing. Because in Jum'ah they pack it up. Now.
And what about the Muslim who comes into the salah, but he taps one of the front rows shoulder, for example? I think one of the or something, you mentioned no one was saying that, because I mentioned that it's not upon the person to walk backwards, to leave a soft to make it soft.
Is what not upon him?
Yeah, to leave a soft, to leave it soft.
Yeah, exactly. Because then that's what I'm saying. It negates. You're trying to affirm something by negating something. If you try to affirm the new role, which is you're not praying by yourself. So the brother's asking, what about if someone comes, taps someone on the front row that's complete already, meaning breaks its normality, and then forms a new one with him so that he's not alone, so that he doesn't fall in the prohibition. We say, but you've caused another prohibition, which is that the first row is not complete. La wajiba ma'al ajz. With this hadith, I know I've looked into the masala, alhamdulillah. If there's inability, no. But if there's ability, yes. Even if it continues wide in the field, even if you can't hear the imam, it doesn't matter because you're on the front row, you can see everyone. When they go on ruku', those who are closest to the imam would move and it'll be a knock-on-chain effect. Na'am. Wallahu ta'ala alam. What else? Any other questions? Sisters, any questions? No.
You know the etiquette of going to the toilet, does that account for the bathroom as well?
Yes. Same. It accounts for the bathroom except the qibla part, because we said, according to the most correct view, facing the qibla then is not feasible because there's walls that blocks. Secondly, sometimes actual toilets are situated and fixed in one direction, unless you turn. If you turn your whole body from the toilet, because some people take that opinion, and when they go toilet, if their toilet is fixed to face the qibla, they always go toilet sideways. And that can cause problems in terms of, not the waist not being in the right place. It can fall on them and stuff like that. Okay, so you take all the etiquettes, my sister, except that one we said you can face whatever direction it is because it's in a building. Does that answer? And another thing is some scholars, they differentiate between when a toilet and a bathroom is in the same place. So I've heard from Al-Albani as well. They say you literally just, in your head, you cut it in half. Wherever the bathroom and the tap is, that's not considered the bathroom. So even if you was mentioning Allah's name or whatever, say for example, especially those walk-in showers that have the doors, I don't know if you listen to Quran in your shower, maybe you like it. It's not considered, if someone comes to you, subhanAllah, you're in the toilet. Then again, you should avoid things that's going to cause suspicion. Don't do stuff like that if it's people don't understand and it's beyond people's heads. Unless you've explained it to them. Because you always keep doing strange things, you're going to be looked at as a stranger. I'm not that you're a stranger that's been firm to the sunnah. No, then you don't contradict. But we're talking about things that you could easily explain or leave off and it won't be a problem. Okay, but technically we're saying it's not considered the bath. So had you listened to Quran or had you, been playing a particular manzuma, poem or whatever, that's not. But so in your head you designate where the toilet is. So wherever the toilet actually is, the toilet seat, that and whatever frame is around it or wherever you can put in your head, that's considered, now you've entered upon the toilet. Okay? Right? Anything else? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. See you all next week. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وقل رب زدني